Starting off the chemistry unit, we're going to start with some of the basics, the parts of an atom, the subatomic particles. Subatomic particles meaning what the atom is made of, what particles make up an atom. So the essential questions, we're going to need to be able to draw a diagram showing the structure of an atom and label all the three particles in their location and charge. And number two is differentiate between atomic mass and mass number. That means what it is and where you find it. So what is matter made out of? Matter, if you remember, is anything that has mass and takes up space. So atoms are the building blocks of matter. They're the smallest part of an element that has all the properties of that element. It retains all those properties. So if we look at the periodic table is kind of our key to understanding all of the elements, and all the elements are on this periodic table. Whether it is copper or manganese or carbon, helium, making your voice sound funny, all the world is made up of all these different types of elements, and atoms are the smallest part of a pure element. You can combine some of them. For example, if you mix hydrogen and oxygen, you can make water. And if you take sodium and chlorine, you can make table salt, which is sodium chloride. Okay, so the entire world is made up of combinations of different atoms and elements. So one of our goals is to look at what are the subatomic particles, what is actually inside the atom. Okay, well there's three different types of particles. There are protons, there are neutrons, and electrons. Okay, and as we go through this, you're going to want to fill in the chart and fill in the charge, location, and the mass. So starting off with protons. Protons have a positive charge. Okay, they have a positive 1 charge. So think proton, positive, both start with a P, easy to remember. They are located in what's called the nucleus of the atom. The nucleus is the center. And the mass of a proton is 1 atomic mass unit. This is the measurement that they use for things on the subatomic level. The neutron is a neutral charge, meaning that it has no charge. If you're in neutral in your car, you're not going forward, you're not going backward, you're just sitting still. Okay? Neutral has 0 charge, no charge. And it's also located within the nucleus. So it's also in the middle of the atom. And the neutron also has a mass of 1 atomic mass unit, or AMU. Electrons are a little bit different than protons and neutrons. The electron has a negative charge and it's located around the nucleus in what we call energy levels. These are like little rings around the nucleus that contain the electrons. They're just orbiting around the nucleus. And these have a very, very, very small mass. So small that they almost don't even matter. The nucleus is located in the center of the atom. And inside the nucleus, we have protons, which again have a positive charge, and neutrons, which have no charge. Neutrons, no charge. Protons, positive charge. And energy levels, this is where electrons with a negative charge are located. These are rings around the nucleus. So one of the goals that we want you to be able to do is to draw a diagram of an atom. And if we draw a diagram, let's start off with the center. The center of the atom is called the nucleus. And inside the nucleus, if you remember, has protons with positive charge and neutrons which have a zero charge. So inside this nucleus would be some protons and also some neutrons. Okay, and then around the nucleus is what we call energy levels. And these are rings that orbit around the nucleus. These are rings that contain electrons. The electrons flow around the center, or flow around the nucleus. Now, depending on the size of the atom and how many protons and neutrons and electrons it has, it may have more of these energy levels. The first one contains 2. The second energy level has 8. So looking a little bit further at the nucleus and energy levels, there's different types of models that show the same thing. They show what, for example, this one is kind of a 3D model of, here's the nucleus containing our protons and neutrons, and then these energy levels, kind of like little shells around it. And this one has 3 energy shells. Here's another model here showing our neutrons with no charge and our protons with a positive charge in the center, or in the nucleus, and orbiting around them in these energy levels are the negative charge electrons. This one here is called the Bohr model, and you can see here's the nucleus, and on each energy level it has a different amount of electrons that it can hold. So going back to the periodic table holds all of the information in each of these little squares. Okay? In each one of these squares, it tells us how many protons, neutrons, and electrons it has to determine what our model would look like. So in our next video, we'll look at that a little bit deeper into how each one of these squares can show us that information.